The abandoned research station floated in the darkness between stars. Captain James stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel Pioneer, watching the massive structure rotate slowly against the void. His crew had found it by accident, hidden, in a region of space everyone avoided. The dead zone, where ships disappeared without explanation. "Sir, the readings are off the charts," Lieutenant Smith reported from her console. "Whatever technology built this place, it's beyond anything in the Galactic Council's database." The Galactic Council had ruled for 10,000 years. 5 ancient races controlled everything. Trade routes, technology, even which species could travel between stars. Humanity had joined only 50 years ago, treated like children at the adults' table. The Council gave them outdated ships, restricted their access to advanced science, and confined them to a small corner of the galaxy. But this station could change everything. James led a small team inside. The walls pulsed with strange energy, surfaces shifting like liquid metal. In the central chamber they found it, blueprints floating in holographic displays, showing designs that made their best scientists gasp in disbelief. A warship powered by quantum probability itself, capable of existing in multiple states simultaneously. "This is impossible," Dr. Wilson whispered, scanning the data. "It violates every law of physics the Council taught us." "Maybe they lied about those laws," James replied grimly. The station's computers revealed the truth. An ancient race, long extinct, had developed this technology before the Council rose to power. The Council had destroyed them, fearing what they might become, but they missed this station, hidden in the dead zone's gravitational anomalies. Back on Earth, the discovery sparked fierce debate. Admiral Roberts, commander of Earth's defense fleet, saw the opportunity immediately. "The Council keeps us weak. On purpose. They're afraid of younger races growing strong. Building this ship could start a war," President Taylor warned. "Not building it guarantees we stay slaves forever," Roberts countered. The decision came when the Council's tax collectors arrived. They demanded 90% of Earth's resources as protection fees, protection from threats the Council itself created. When Earth's ambassador protested, the Council's enforcer species, the Krell, destroyed one of humanity's colonies as a warning. 30,000 humans died in seconds. That night, construction began in secret. The shipyard was built inside, a hollowed-out asteroid hidden from Council sensors. Every human colony contributed: engineers, resources, volunteers. They worked in shifts around the clock, driven by a shared anger and determination. The ship grew day by day, its quantum core pulsing with barely contained power. 3 years passed. The vessel, named Defiance, was nearly complete when the Council discovered their secret. A spy had betrayed them. The Council's grand fleet, 500 warships strong, jumped into Earth's system. "Surrender the illegal technology," the Council's Supreme Commander broadcast, "or we will take it from your dead hands." Admiral Roberts stood on Defiance's bridge, even though the ship was only 90% finished. The quantum core hummed. Beneath his feet, reality bending slightly around the edges of his vision. His crew of 500 humans stood ready at their posts. "All of human history led to this moment," Roberts told them. "We've always been explorers, fighters, survivors. We've always refused to kneel. Today we show the galaxy why." He turned to his weapons officer, Commander Davis. "Activate the quantum field." The ship shimmered, suddenly existing in multiple dimensions at once. On the Council's sensors, one ship became a dozen, then 100, all equally real. The quantum computers calculated probability paths millions of times per second, choosing optimal futures from infinite possibilities. The Council fleet opened fire. Thousands of energy beams and missiles streaked through space. But Defiance shifted between quantum states, attacks passing through shadows while the real ship danced between dimensions. When it fired back, its weapons struck from angles that shouldn't exist, hitting enemies from inside their own shields. The battle lasted 17 minutes. When it ended, the Council's grand fleet was scattered debris, and Defiance hung untouched among the wreckage. The impossible had happened. One human ship had defeated the galaxy's supreme power. But this was just the beginning. The Council still controlled thousands of worlds, millions of ships. They would come again, with everything they had. Humanity's real war for freedom had just begun. The news of the Grand Fleet's destruction spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On 1,000 worlds, species that had suffered under Council rule whispered in secret. The humans had done the impossible. For the first time in 10 millennia, someone had stood up to the Council and won. In the Council's central citadel, the EO5 ruling races held an emergency session. The chamber was vast, built to intimidate, with representatives floating at different heights according to their status. At the highest level, the ethereal Void Watchers shimmered like living shadows. The humans must be eliminated completely, declared the Void Watcher Prime. Every man, woman, and child. Their rebellion cannot inspire others. Below them, the crystalline architects vibrated in agreement. We have ruled through fear for 10,000 years. If that fear breaks, our empire falls. The mechanical forge, Lords calculated probabilities. Send the extinction fleet 2,000 ships, antimatter bombs for their worlds. Leave nothing but ash. The Council had used the extinction fleet only 3 times in their history. Each time, entire species had been erased from existence. Now humanity's name would join that list of the forgotten. On Earth, Admiral Roberts knew they had little time. The Defiance was powerful, but it was still just one ship. He gathered humanity's leaders in an underground bunker safe from Council sensors. "We need allies," he said bluntly, "and we need more quantum ships." The station's blueprints show 5 different designs, Dr. Wilson reported. "If we can build them all—" "We don't have years," Roberts interrupted. "The Council will come in weeks, maybe days." That's when the unexpected happened. A small ship appeared in Earth's orbit, broadcasting on an encrypted channel only humans could decode. Inside was Ambassador Kova of the Zephyr, a race the Council had conquered centuries ago. "We've been waiting," Kova said simply, "waiting for someone strong enough to lead. The Council has enemies on every world they rule. Give us hope and we'll give you armies." The alliance formed quickly. The Zephyr provided rare minerals. The underground digger clans offered hidden shipyards. The aquatic sailors brought navigation data for secret routes through space. Dozens of races, all secretly working together, united by humanity's example, but they needed time, and the Council's extinction fleet was already moving. Roberts made a desperate decision. He took Defiance and jumped directly into the Council's core systems, right into the heart of their empire. It was suicide. Or it should have been. The Council never expected an attack on their homeworlds. Their defense fleet scrambled in panic as Defiance appeared above their capital, existing in 12 dimensions simultaneously. Roberts didn't attack civilians, but he destroyed military installations, communication hubs, and weapons factories. "You want to genocide Earth?" Roberts broadcast on all channels. "Then defend your own homes first." The extinction fleet stopped. Its advance toward Earth. Half of it turned back to protect Council space. The other half pressed on, but slower, more cautiously. The Council's rulers were afraid, a new feeling for them. Meanwhile, in hidden shipyards across the galaxy, construction worked at frantic pace. The allied races shared technology, resources, and knowledge. They built not just copies of Defiance, but improved versions. The quantum technology merged with each race's specialties: Zephyr stealth systems, digger armor plating, sailor bio-neural computers. 3 weeks into the resistance, humanity had 5 quantum warships. Their allies had 7 more. Still outnumbered 100 to 1, but no longer helpless. The reduced extinction fleet, still 1,000 ships strong, finally reached Earth system. Admiral Roberts had returned with Defiance, joined by the new quantum squadron. 13 ships against 1,000. Commander Davis looked at the tactical display and laughed grimly. "At least it's a fair fight now." The Council fleet commander, a Void Watcher named Shadow of Stars, was confident. "Surround them. overwhelming firepower. Their quantum tricks won't save them against these numbers. But the humans had learned something crucial from the ancient station's records. The quantum field didn't just affect space, it affected time. As the Council fleet engaged, the human ships began shifting through temporal states, attacking from the past and future simultaneously. A single human vessel suddenly became versions of itself from different timelines, all existing in the same moment. The Council's ships found themselves fighting battles that had already ended, or hadn't started yet. Causality itself became humanity's weapon. The battle raged across multiple dimensions and timelines. Council ships exploded before they fired, hit by attacks from futures they'd never reach. The Quantum Squadron danced through probability, choosing only the timelines where they won. When the smoke cleared, the extinction fleet was gone. But the cost was high. 3 quantum ships lost, their crews sacrificed to maintain the temporal paradoxes that ensured victory. The Council still commanded vast resources, but now they knew fear. The galaxy watched and waited. The revolution had truly begun. The destruction of the extinction fleet sent shockwaves through Council space. On the mining world of Keras, workers threw down their tools. On the agricultural planet Haven, farmers burned the crops meant for Council tables. On 100 worlds, the oppressed began to believe freedom was possible. In the Council's citadel, paranoia reigned. The Void Watchers suspected the architects of weakness. The Forge Lords accused the Gene Weavers of incompetence. The Star Singers, oldest of the ruling races, withdrew entirely to their meditation spheres. The alliance that had ruled for 10 millennia began to crack. Admiral Robert stood before the assembled leaders of the rebellion. The hidden base was carved into an asteroid, its location known only to those present. Representatives from 50 races filled the chamber, some breathing oxygen, others methane, a few existing as pure energy. The Council still has 90,000 ships, Robert said bluntly. We have 20 quantum vessels and maybe 1,000 conventional fighters. In a straight fight we lose, then we don't fight straight, said Commander Torres, humanity's newest quantum captain. We've been playing defense. Time to attack. The plan was audacious. Instead of fighting the Council's fleets, they would target the source of their power, the Nexus Gates. These massive structures controlled all faster than light travel. Without them, the Council's empire would fragment, each system isolated. Destroy the gates, and their fleets can't respond to threats, Roberts explained. Their supply lines collapse, their control breaks. The gates are indestructible, protested a Zephyr engineer. The Council spent centuries building them. Indestructible to conventional weapons, Dr. Wilson corrected. But quantum probability affects everything. If we can shift a gate into a state where it never existed. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The rebellion split into strike teams. Each quantum ship would hit different gates simultaneously, preventing the Council from concentrating their defenses. It meant spreading their tiny fleet across the galaxy, each ship alone against impossible odds. Captain Anderson commanded the TIE, newest quantum ship, Prometheus. His target was the Throne Gate, the most heavily defended nexus in Council space. 500 Council ships guarded it permanently. As Prometheus approached, Anderson's crew was nervous. Most were young, volunteers, who'd never seen real combat. But they believed in the cause and in the impossible technology that protected them. Remember, Anderson told them, we're not just fighting for humanity. Every slave on every world is counting on us. The Council fleet detected them immediately. Alarms screamed across a dozen systems. The guard ships formed a sphere of death. Around the gate, weapons charging. Anderson smiled grimly. Initiate quantum cascade. Prometheus didn't just shift into multiple dimensions. It began collapsing probability waves around the gate itself. Reality twisted, showing glimpses of alternate timelines. In some, the gate was never built. In others, it had already been destroyed. The Council ships fired, but their weapons passed through quantum shadows. Prometheus existed everywhere and nowhere, its attack coming from all possible angles. The gate's massive structure groaned as its existence became uncertain. Then, Anderson did something unexpected. He broadcast on open channels in every language of every slave race. "You are not alone, freedom is coming. Rise up." Across the galaxy, the same scene played out at different gates. Quantum ships danced through dimensions while broadcasting messages of hope. And on the worlds below, something extraordinary happened. The uprisings began spontaneously. Dock workers sabotaged Council supply ships. Soldiers from conquered races turned their weapons on Council overseers. Engineers destroyed communication relays. The rebellion wasn't just in space, it was everywhere at once. The throne gate collapsed first, its quantum state destabilizing until it simply ceased to exist. The implosion took 100 Council ships with it, pulled into a probability void. Across the galaxy, more gates fell, some to quantum attacks, others to local insurgents who overwhelmed confused defenders. In 18 hours, the Council lost 40% of their gate network. Their empire, built on instant communication and rapid deployment, began to fragment. Entire sectors went dark. Fleets were stranded wherever they happened to be stationed. But the Council's rage was terrible. They issued new orders: burn any world that rebels. No trials, no warnings. Genocide for any species that supported humanity. Roberts received the reports with a heavy heart. 12 worlds had already been glassed from orbit, billions dead. The price of freedom was being paid in blood. "We knew this would happen, Commander," Davis said quietly. "The Council won't surrender. They'll destroy everything rather than lose control." Roberts stared at the star map, seeing the growing dark zones where gates no longer functioned. "Then we take away their ability to destroy anything. Every ship, every weapon, every Council member. We end this completely." The war for the galaxy had become a race against time. Could the rebellion destroy the Council before the Council destroyed everyone else? The Council's retaliation was swift and merciless. Their remaining fleets, trapped in isolated sectors without gate travel, turned their fury on whatever worlds they could reach. The death toll climbed into the trillions. But something unexpected happened. The Council's own enforcer races began to defect. The Krell, who had served as the Council's iron fist for millennia, suddenly remembered their own conquered past. When ordered to destroy a rebel world, Krell Admiral Kor turned his fleet's guns on the Council overseers instead. "We were slaves too," Kor broadcast. "We forgot, but now we remember." In the Quantum Command Center, Admiral Roberts studied the tactical displays. The galaxy was in chaos. Some sectors had fallen into complete anarchy. Others had formed independent alliances. The Council still controlled their core systems, but their empire was shattered. "We've broken their power," President Taylor said over the communication link from Earth. "Maybe it's enough. Maybe we can negotiate." "No," Roberts interrupted. "As long as the Council exists, they'll plot revenge, they'll rebuild. Our grandchildren will fight this war again." Dr. Wilson had been working on something. A final solution drawn from the ancient station's deepest files. "There's a protocol. Here," she said quietly. "The extinct race that built the quantum technology. They called it the reality anchor," she explained. "A quantum cascade so massive it would lock the Council's core systems in a probability loop. They would exist outside normal spacetime, trapped forever in a single moment, unable to affect the universe or be affected by it. That's..." Commander Torres struggled for words. "That's not destroying them, it's worse, it's eternal imprisonment." "It's justice," Roberts said coldly. "They did worse to countless species." The plan required all quantum ships working in perfect synchronization. They would surround the Council's core systems and create an interconnected probability field. One mistake, one ship out of position, and the cascade would fail, or worse, consume everything, including the human fleet. But first, they had to reach the Council's heartland. Without gates, it would take months of conventional travel. And the Council wasn't idle. They were building something in their central system, energy readings unlike anything seen before. Ambassador Kova of the Zephyr brought disturbing intelligence. The Council is desperate. They're activating the Omega Protocol. The room went cold. The Omega Protocol was legend, a doomsday weapon that would rather destroy the entire galaxy than let it fall to enemies. No one knew exactly what it was, only that the Council had threatened to use it once before, and an entire species had surrendered rather than risk it. "How long do we have?" Roberts asked. 6 days until their weapon is ready. The quantum fleet couldn't reach the Council's core in 6 days. Unless we use the quantum drives differently, Dr. Wilson proposed. Not to shift between dimensions, but to fold space itself, jump directly to the target. That's never been tested. We could materialize inside a star, or scatter our atoms across light years. Or we could end this war, Roberts said. All ships, prepare for quantum fold. The 20 quantum vessels gathered at the edge of known space. Their crews said goodbyes, knowing they might not survive. On Earth and 1,000 other worlds, beings of every species watched and waited. Captain Anderson aboard Prometheus was chosen to lead the fold. His ship would create the initial probability tunnel, and the others would follow. If he miscalculated, they'd all die before firing a shot. For every slave who died believing freedom was impossible, Anderson said to his crew, for every child, born in chains, for the future of all species, initiate quantum fold. Space twisted. Reality bent. The ships existed everywhere and nowhere, traveling through possibilities rather than distance. Anderson could see infinite versions of himself, some succeeding, some failing, some never existing at all. Then they emerged, all 20 ships, in perfect formation around the Council's core systems. The Council fleet, caught completely off guard, scrambled to respond. At the center of their formation, the Omega weapon pulsed with dark energy, nearly complete. "Begin the reality anchor sequence," Roberts commanded. The quantum ships spread out, forming a perfect sphere around 3 star systems. Their quantum cores synchronized, probability waves aligning. The Council realized what was happening and attacked with everything they had, 10,000 ships firing at once. But it was too late. The cascade had begun. Reality itself was bending, creating a bubble around the Council's worlds. Their ships' weapons fire slowed, then stopped, frozen in space. Time was crystallizing around them. The Council's leaders in their towering citadel had only moments to understand their fate. They would be preserved forever, conscious but unable to act, watching the same moment for eternity. Their empire, their power, their very existence, locked away from the universe they had terrorized for so long. The reality anchor engaged fully. The Council's core systems vanished from normal space, leaving only a gravitational anomaly to mark where an empire once stood. The silence that followed the Council's imprisonment was deafening. Across the galaxy, beings who had lived their entire lives under oppression suddenly found themselves free. No Council tax collectors, no enforcer fleets, no ancient laws restricting their growth. Just freedom. Admiral Roberts stood on the observation deck of Defiance, watching the gravitational anomaly that had once been the Council's throne. His hair had gone gray during the war. The cost of victory weighed on him, trillions dead, entire worlds burned. But they had won. "Sir," Lieutenant Smith approached. "The Galactic Assembly is requesting your presence." The Assembly was new, formed from the freed races. Unlike the Council's rigid hierarchy, every species had equal voice. They met on Haven, a world rebuilt from the ashes of Council bombardment. The symbolism was intentional. From destruction, new growth. The assembly hall was chaotic. 500 species, each with different needs, languages, and cultures trying to build something together. The Krell sat beside the races they had once oppressed. The Zephyr shared technology with former enemies. It was messy, loud, and beautiful. Roberts took the podium. The room gradually quieted. "We won our freedom," he began. "But freedom isn't the end, it's the beginning. The hard work starts now." He outlined humanity's proposal. The quantum technology would be shared with all races. No single species would dominate as the Council had. The Nexus gates would be rebuilt, but controlled democratically. Trade would flow freely. Knowledge would be shared. The Council ruled through fear and secrets. Roberts continued. We'll build, through cooperation and transparency. Not everyone agreed. Some races wanted revenge on those who had collaborated with the Council. Others demanded reparations for millennia of oppression. A few even suggested humanity should rule, having proved strongest. We didn't fight to become the new Council, Roberts said firmly. We fought to ensure no Council could ever exist again. Captain Anderson, now Admiral of the Quantum Fleet, presented the new defensive doctrine. The quantum ships would patrol the galaxy, but not as conquerors. They would protect trade routes, respond to disasters, and ensure no race could oppress another. We're guardians, not rulers, Anderson explained. The moment we forget that, we become what we fought against. The debates lasted weeks. Sometimes voices rose in anger. Once the Forge Lords walked out, refusing to sit beside the Digger clans who they considered inferior. But they returned, knowing isolation meant death in this new galaxy. Slowly, agreements formed. A charter of rights guaranteeing freedom for all sentient beings. A trade network that benefited developing worlds rather than exploiting them. A shared scientific database advancing all races together. Dr. Wilson established the Quantum Academy, where beings from every race could learn the technology that had freed them. Knowledge is power, she said. So we make everyone powerful. The first mixed crews launched within a year. A human captain with a Zephyr navigator, Krell engineers, and sailor medics. Ships that would have been impossible under the Council's segregation now sailed between stars, living proof that cooperation worked. Not everything was smooth. Pirates emerged in the lawless regions. Some former Council loyalists attempted a restoration, trying to break the reality anchor. They failed, but the threat reminded everyone that freedom required vigilance. On Earth, President Taylor addressed humanity. We led the revolution, but we don't own it. Our destiny is tied to every race in this galaxy. We rise or fall together. 3 years after the Council's fall, Robert stood again on Defiance's observation deck. But this time he wasn't alone. Commanders from 30 races stood with him, watching the launch of the newest quantum vessel, built jointly by 7 species, crewed by 12. My grandfather was born a slave, said Commander Vrix, a young Krell officer. My children will be born free. That's because of what you started. What we all finished, Roberts corrected. Humanity may have lit the spark, but every race fed the flame. A message arrived from the edge of the galaxy. A new race had been discovered, just achieving spaceflight. Under the Council, they would have been conquered immediately. Under the Assembly, they were offered membership, protection, and knowledge. This is how we honor the fallen, Roberts thought, by building something worth their sacrifice. The quantum warship Defiance, once humanity's desperate weapon, now served as a museum and symbol. School children from 100 races toured its decks, learning how cooperation conquered tyranny. The galaxy had been bent to humanity's will, not through conquest, but through humanity's will, that all beings be free. The unstoppable force had not been the quantum warship itself, but the idea it represented, that no power, no matter how ancient or vast, could stand against united races fighting for freedom. As Roberts retired, his final log entry read, "We didn't conquer the galaxy, we liberated it, and in doing so we liberated ourselves. The stars belong to everyone now."